Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dr. Quack Podcast, another fun-filled show here. I don't have a lot of things to cover this episode, but I do have things to cover. Last night was Money in the Bank, and let me tell you, okay, I've heard good and bad, people happy with it, people mad with it. Me, I'm going to give it about a C plus in general. I'm going to explain to you why here. You know, there's some good stuff that happened last night. I thought it was really good to see Otis win the Money in the Bank briefcase because this is going to add a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different avenues this can go. I mean, you're talking, first and foremost, in my opinion, this is going to add to him and Mandy Rose. You know, this whole relationship deal, it's good to see he's got his briefcase. It ain't like she's with a bum, you know, so that's going to help out with that scenario. But the way it went down where Corbin and AJ Styles were both going for the briefcase and all of a sudden it fell into his hands because, you know, Otis is a big dude and trying to climb that ladder was probably not the best thing. You saw it break on the first step. But, I mean, it opens up a lot of avenues. It gives them, you know, another chance because even in an interview before it, they decided to say, hey, I might go for the tag team titles. Nobody's done that with the Money in the Bank briefcase. They've all went for the championship. So it's going to add a lot of different things where it's going to keep you wanting to watch and find out what exactly happens. I like that one. Asuka was another one I was very happy with. Them two matches there. I mean, Asuka is one of the most talented females in the business, you know, and she keeps you entertained. You know, when she's speaking Japanese and partying all day long, it's kind of funny. You know, I mean, it makes you want to watch it. It keeps you smiling. She'll joke it up, but she's very talented in the ring as well, and she's a threat. I mean, unlike Becky Lynch, who says, "I'm not coming back. I'm not wrestling right now." God knows when she's coming back. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting on that. I really can't wait for that. And let me tell you, at least Bayley's out there defending her belt. That's why SmackDown looks so much better on the women's division. The Raw division, none of the titles are being defended. The tag team titles, the women's title. Becky Lynch ain't showing up there. Charlotte Flair said, "Screw you, I'm going to NXT." Smart move for her. But, I mean, all in all, I am happy that Asuka won this because it's going to be when and where will she go after the world title? Because she's going to win it. There's no doubt. It's just being a stupid thing to have her choke on this. I mean, she should have beat Becky there at the Rumble. But, you know, I understand politics, right? Ooh, excuse me. So, yeah, those two I'm very happy with. The Drew and Seth match, it was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't over the top. It was a solid title defense. I mean, the big thing I saw on that, at the end, you know, Drew went to Seth, shook his hand man to man, called him a leader after he beat him. I mean, that says a lot. There's a lot of respect level there. You know, and of course, reports have been running wild about Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal going at each other. That should be a later feud down the line. I really can't wait to see that. The Bray and Braun match. Bray Wyatt. Why didn't you come out as the Fiend? I mean, that kind of gave me a little hint that, yeah, they're not going to put the belt on him. I mean, it was funny that he had the mask and they brought back old memories. And, you know, welcome home, Braun. Yeah. Braun kept his title. I'm okay with that. Because he didn't beat the Fiend. He beat, you know, Mr. Rogers' version of Bray Wyatt over there with his sweater. Hi, you know. But, yeah, thank God. Hopefully they'll have a rematch at SummerSlam. I can imagine something like this happening because the Fiend belongs with the belt right now. Who else are you going to put the belt on? That makes sense. To me, it's nobody. There's nobody on SmackDown's roster that makes sense. I will laugh if Otis somehow cashes in. I don't think he cashes in at least until close to WrestleMania time. So we're talking 6 months. I'd be shocked if he cashed in on Friday or even in a couple months. I see him holding his belt. Tamina and Bayley, I swear I'm giving my respect to. Bayley at least out there defending her title. I mean, her and Tamina, you know, that was a solid match. Of course, Sasha Banks has to get into this. you know, I get it. Whatever helps her keep the title, it's drawing the heat. It's doing a great job with that. You know, it's just, it's going to get old. You know, I hope they figure it out eventually where Sasha and Bayley fight each other or something. Oh, my biggest gripe that I'm glad I don't have to bitch about, because I was sitting there with a couple people last night watching the show, and my biggest thing about Money in the Bank was somebody was supposed to go off the building or through the glass or take a giant fall. Believe me, it didn't happen until the very end. Thank God, at least somebody did. I mean, they didn't show the fall, talking about Rey Mysterio, talking about Aleister Black, but, you know, at least somebody took the fall off the building. If they only took it 5 feet, if they actually took the whole 75, 80 foot fall, or whatever it was, that's beyond me. You know, all in all, the pay-per-view wasn't horrible. The best part of the show was probably the Money in Bank ladder match. I mean, just all the comedy skits in there. You had Brother Love making an appearance. You had People Power. You know, John Laurinaitis. You had Paul Heyman eating a sandwich. That was probably one of the best ones. You know, corniness with the briefcase in the corporate office. Just all sorts of stuff. It was fun. It was a good movie production style match. And I like those matches. I actually got to say, I was thoroughly entertained. You know, so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna give it a C+. Yeah, it could have been better. I thought the rest of the card was kind of weak. You know, it looked like they threw it all together. It looked like a soup sandwich. But, you know, for the most part, the main event covered most of it. And notice the show was only what? Let's see, it started at 6 on the pre-show, went to 7 on the main, and ended at 9:30. 2.5 hours, not like 10:30, 11 o'clock where it's ended sometimes. So it was good time. It wasn't like too much coming at you. So it was good on that part. So there's a couple things I want to talk about here. First off, Alberto Del Rio gets arrested again. What else is new? His entire wrestling career should be over, you know, for assault. What he did to Paige, what he did to these people. You know, I'm not sure on the full story. That's something you'll have to look up. But yeah, just knowing he got arrested again, it's like, why are you still in the business? Why? You're being a disgrace. And this is what gives wrestlers bad names, you know. Sorry, I need something to drink. It's you know, it's been one of those days. But just want to tell you, here's a couple things in my opinion. First off, tomorrow night on Fox Sports 1. This is where we've gotten into in the world, okay? When we don't have sports anymore, we start airing some of the greatest games, some of the greatest shows even. WrestleMania 3 will be on Fox Sports 1 at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Tuesday night. So I'm very happy with that. That right there, and I'm going to tell you this, if you don't learn from your history, you are doomed to repeat it. You know, that is a big thing. That's why I always try to cherish history as much as I can. I consider myself a wrestling historian, you know, because that's what I focused on a lot in life. Thank you, Grandpa. Rest in peace. But all in all, you know, pro wrestling, if you had to watch back in the 80s, if you have never seen professional wrestling except for the last, let's say, 10 years, let's say the last 10 years, okay, 2010 forward. If you never watched the 80s or 90s, this is the pay-per-view. This is the greatest pay-per-view, in my opinion, of all time. I mean, it had Hogan Andre. You had Steamboat Savage, was considered one of the greatest matches of all time. You know, it had one of my favorite, Billy Jack Haynes. Yeah, which if you don't know who that is, look that up. Taking on Hercules. I'm telling you, I love that match. That match when I was a kid, what was top notch. The blood in it also got me right there. That was the first real time I sat down and watched a match where it was like that bloody. You know, until ECW many years later. But all in all, that would definitely be one pay-per-view I would suggest. Hell, I'm going to do a second one here just because, you know, I usually do movies, you know, and maybe next one I'll pick a movie of the week. But one more pay-per-view I will tell you. If you have the chance to get the WWE Network, get it. $9.99 a month. You get Hulu, you get Netflix, and you get all the other ones that are out there, Amazon Prime and whatever such. Go look at the WWE Network, especially if you have not watched wrestling back in the early 80s, 90s, even 2000s, it's such a difference between today. You know, but one more pay-per-view I'm going to bring out that I think that, all wrestling fans should kind of watch. If you ever consider getting into business, maybe this will explain a little bit to you, but that was Survivor Series 1990. 1990, and for a lot of people who don't know, that was the debut of The Undertaker. But that's kind of least important what I'm talking about. It was great to see that. But if you watch that pay-per-view, you're going to see all the guys that were, the top over there. You were going to see Hogan and all of them. And you're going to see a bunch of guys that were mid-carders, but guess what we call them? Hall of Famers. Because that era right there was all about a supporting cast. It was all about setting the table. And if you watch that match where you had Survivor Series eliminations, the winners went to the championship round in the final match, it was classic. I mean, just seeing who got put in that match and why. Those are the two I suggest you watch. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. By all means, tell me, this is what I want you to do, if you can do this for me. Anybody who's watching this, I want you to put in the comments section here on YouTube, I want you to tell me the greatest pay-per-view you ever saw, if you can. Tell me that one. I'm curious because everybody's got a debate. But thank you all for tuning in, and I'm out.